My name is Stephen Schlissel, also known sometimes as the Weedman. We are here at Camp Plymouth State Park at the foot of the Echo Lake Vista Trail. We're going to be walking through the trail, up into the woods, up the hill, and we're going to be seeing many woodland plants that we don't find here at the low level by the lake. Here in true Vermont fashion, there's a couple of hiking sticks that other hikers have left for us. So let's take a hike up the hill and see what we can find today. Now here is some first-year burdock, and I'm showing you this here now for a couple of reasons. First of all, to show you how first-year burdock is going to look a lot different from second-year burdock. It is a biennial, which means it takes 2 years to complete its reproductive cycle. And also to show you, this is at the head of the trail by the road, and we're not going to see this later on in the deep woods. So the path of the trail here is covered with lots of pine needles, which tells us that most of the soil around here is going to be acidic. So generally we're going to see acid-loving plants. Now here is our first plant that we're going to look at. It is red baneberry, and you can see the berries down there. There are two kinds of baneberry common to the area, red and white. As the name implies, baneberry tells you that the plant's poisonous. The one we're looking at here is only 6, 7, 8 inches tall. It is a bushy plant with large divided leaves, has a small cluster of small white flowers. This is past its flowering stage. It flowers from May to July. This is the middle of July, growing in woods and thickets. Its leaves are sharply toothed leaflets. The fruit is clustered berries on a slender stem, and it grows as high as 2 feet. Very poisonous baneberry. This is Acacia ruba, and there's the white variety doll's eyes, which I think I have a picture of. So that's a good place to start. Okay, so further up the trail we've got a small stand here of Canada Mayflower. It has nothing to do with the pilgrims. Mayflower is telling us that it flowers in the month of May. Maranthenum canadense, and of course, excuse my Latin, it's in the lily family, a short, often zigzagged stem, and you might be able to see that there. Flowering in upland woods, clearings, small white flowers that we can't see because it's the middle of July. Now we're turning off the entrance path and we're going to start going up the hill to, as you can see, Echo Lake Vista Trail. Now here is found some wintergreen. The Latin name for this is Gaultheria procumbens. It's in the heath family. It's a creeping plant, a shrub, upright branches, does create red berries. The fruit is edible, bright red, pulpy, have a spicy taste. It likes oak woods or under evergreens, and as you can see from the pine needles all around, we are under some evergreens. You may see we're on an official path of the state park, and they nicely mark their trees so you don't stray off the path too much. Now here is a plant that I'm very excited to see, or it's not very common. We'll just get some of these pine needles off it. This is something known as Indian cucumber, and you can see that it's already been flowered. We've got a whorl, W-H-O-R-L, of leaves, ovate leaves, entire, which means no tooths or lobe, and then another whorl, this time of 3 similar type leaves. This plant is about a foot tall. The Indians used it for a food. It's got a tuber that looks and smells and tastes like a cucumber. Here we've got what's called false Solomon seal. The leaves resemble true Solomon seal. It's a nodding plant whose flowers are at the end, unlike true Solomon seal whose flowers are underneath the leaves. Latin name on this guy is Smilacina racemosa. Smilacina racemosa. We've got large, I would say 6-7 inch ovate, pointy leaves, deep veins, and you can see the stem kind of bends back and forth, and the leaves are alternate on this plant. One of the ways we can identify plants more easily is by the shape, features of the leaves, and how the leaves are stuck to a stem. Continuing on, we've got a very odd plant here, something that's called Indian pipe. And as you can see, there's no green in it. It doesn't make chlorophyll. Monotropa uniflora. Doesn't photosynthesize, but it gets its nutrients from the roots and the natural nutrition of the decaying plants there. And you can see its little flower. Monotropa. Okay, now here is a quite unusual plant. Unusual, I'm saying I've never seen it before. It's something in the lily family, Clintonia borealis, named after the old New York governor DeWitt Clinton. It's in the lily family. We can see the lily-like basal leaves, large, ovate, waxy, very distinct, deep blue, slightly poisonous shining bead-like berries. It flowers May to July. We're in the middle of July now, and it has 3 or 4, probably 4 in this case, yellow bell-like flowers, almost like other lilies that you would see. So very rare for me. I've never seen it before. Quite beautiful. Clintonia. Here's a plant called shinleaf, Pyrola elliptica. Single stems. Flowers have 5 petals, 1 long curving pistil, large dark green rounded leaves at the base, native to this country. You can see the pistil. You can see again the pine needles and the pine cones, telling us that the ground here is very rich and acidic. So acid-loving plants are going to be growing here. So we are coming up to some cleared land. This is an old cemetery. We're going to see a whole bunch of things here we haven't seen before. So the first thing we see is this low business here, and what you've got are some wild blueberries. Back in focus, that looks good enough to eat. Oh yes. These are very low to the ground, 6 inches, very prolific. You can see pretty much this whole hillside is covered with them. Here we've got yarrow, Aquila millefolium. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. You've got Aquila millefolium. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the Latin name is going to tell you something. Millefolium, often the about the plant. In this case, the millefolium, thousands of leaves. You got this very, very, very feathery-like leaf. The Aquila comes from the Greek Achilles, who led his men into battle and was said to use this plant to stop bleeding from their wounds caught in battle. This is wild yarrow. The garden variety is usually yellow. Also used as a tea for cold. And here, this little gorgeous plant here is St. John's wort, Hypericum perforatum. And of course we haven't seen this in the woods. We're seeing it here out in the sunshine. Here is Spirea, probably Spirea latifolia, or meadowsweet. They named this plant after the spires of the church, probably. Aspirin was synthesized from the Spirea plant. And you can see here that the bees and the bugs really love it at this point. Here we've got, again, some Prunella vulgaris. All heal or self-heal. The plant is used in skin preparations as a gargle. You've got your red clover. You can pop those fresh flowers into a salad. They're full of nectar. They can be dried and used for a tea. And over here I see this beautiful pink flower that's standing out. That's Dianthus. Dianthus deltoides. I think that refers to the delta shape kind of in the middle there. And that's a single flower, 5 petals, deeply toothed at the end, quite bright pink. We've got Canadian anemone, and you can see the simple flower. You can see what happens to the flower after the petals, and here's a great shot of its compound leaves, deeply toothed. And this guy is about 20 inches, maybe even 2 feet high. Now we've got milkweed. This one is not in flower. An edible plant at certain times if you do it right. And here is something I've never seen in the wild, only in the garden. We've got agrimony, agrimonium, the Latin name. You can see its leaves, and this tall stem of flowers. Very difficult to photograph, however. Just at the edge of the woods, it's not getting full sun. I've seen these in people's garden where the whole stem here is full of yellow flowers. Agrimony, used by the pioneers as an astringent. Very possibly was planted up here at one point. We're going to continue in the woods and back again. We're going higher elevation and back into the pine forest. So let's see what we can find. Michellin's ripens, also known as partridge berry. Pioneers and Indians used this for women's troubles, which would have anything to do with menstruation or the reproductive system in general. And it grows along the ground. You can differentiate it. The leaves are smaller than wintergreen in twos, and they've got like a white stem in the middle. This doesn't grow more than 3-4 inches off the ground, and it has 4 white flowers, and it makes these delicious spicy berries. Got bunchberry in the dogwood family. Bunchberries, you can see 6 leaves in a row. The berries are there. Looks like dogwood. Also known as dwarf cornel, Cornus canadensis. Again, the Latin name often tells us something about the plant. We're very close to Canada here. It's a dwarf shrub, wide-ranging. It flowers usually in June, July, past the flowering point here. Bright red berries. It likes cool, moist woods and shaded mountains, and that's where we are. And so here we are at the top of the trail, Echo Lake Vista Trail. There's your vista. Thank you for coming with me today. We saw many things I've only seen for the first time.